What do you mean my college fund is gone? I stared at my parents across our dining room table, my acceptance letter to Harvard Business School lying between us like a broken promise. My mother avoided my eyes, fiddling with her expensive necklace, while my father cleared his throat. Now, Alexandra, he began in his business executive tone, your sister Olivia is getting married in 3 months. The Winters are one of the most influential families in the city. This wedding needs to be exceptional. I felt my world crumbling. At 18, I'd worked myself to exhaustion to get into Harvard. Perfect grades, extracurriculars, glowing recommendations. The acceptance letter had arrived yesterday. Today, I learned my future had been traded for flower arrangements and a designer wedding dress. But that was my money, I whispered. You promised. You've been saving it since I was born. Oh, darling, my mother finally looked at me, her smile condescending. You're so smart. You'll figure something out. Olivia needs this wedding. The Winters expect a certain standard. As if summoned by her name, my sister Olivia breezed into the room, wedding magazines tucked under her arm. At 24, she'd never worked a day in her life, spending her time at country clubs and charity galas. Mom, I found the perfect venue. It's a castle in France, and they have an opening in June. She paused, noticing my tear-streaked face. What's wrong with her? Nothing, my father said smoothly. Alexandra's just processing some changes to her college plans. Olivia's face lit up. Oh, did you tell her? Daddy, the castle is only $300,000 per day. That's reasonable, right? $300,000 per day. My entire college fund had been around $400,000. Carefully saved, meticulously planned. Now it would pay for less than 2 days of my sister's fairy tale wedding. I got into Harvard, I said quietly. The school I've been dreaming about since I was 12. Olivia waved her hand dismissively. Harvard's so stuffy. You could go to community college. My friend's housekeeper's daughter goes to one. She says it's quaint. I stood up abruptly, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. I need some air. Outside, the spring air felt thick with broken dreams. I walked to the garden bench where I used to study late into the night, preparing for the future that had just been stolen from me. My phone buzzed. A text from my best friend Maya. Did you tell them about Harvard? Are they excited? I couldn't bring myself to respond. How could I explain that my education meant so little to my family that they'd sacrificed it for champagne fountains and ice sculptures? Later that night, I sat in my room, surrounded by scholarship applications and student loan forms. A soft knock at my door interrupted my desperate calculations. Go away, Olivia. She came in anyway, floating in on a cloud of expensive perfume. I brought you some wedding magazines. You can help me pick the flower arrangements since you're not going to be busy with school. I looked up slowly. Do you even care? That your wedding is costing you my future? Don't be so dramatic, she rolled her eyes. Daddy says the family business will always take care of us. You don't mean Harvard. But I did need it, not just for the education, but for what it represented, a chance to prove myself, to build something of my own. The next morning, I walked into my father's study. He was on the phone, probably discussing another extravagant wedding detail. We need to talk, I said when he hung up. Alexandra, I'm very busy. The business, I interrupted. You always say it will take care of us. Let me work there. Part-time now, full-time after graduation. I'll earn my tuition. He laughed, actually laughed. Sweetheart, handling $1 million accounts isn't like your little math club competitions. The business needs experienced people. I'm good with numbers. I could learn. No, he cut me off firmly. The business is not a practice ground for beginners. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a meeting about Olivia's floral arrangements. That night, I couldn't sleep. The moonlight streamed through my window, illuminating my Harvard acceptance letter. Next to it lay an invitation to tour Sterling National Bank's internship program, an opportunity I'd won through a finance competition but had planned to decline in favor of Harvard. My hands shook as I picked up my phone and dialed the number on the invitation. Hello, this is Alexandra Miller. I'm calling about the internship program. Yes, I'd love to schedule that tour. 3 days later, I stood in the lobby of Sterling National Bank, my one professional outfit pressed and perfect. The marble floors gleamed and the air hummed with purpose. This wasn't the future I'd planned, but maybe, just maybe, it could be something better. Mr. Sterling himself gave me the tour. He'd been impressed by my competition performance and seemed genuinely interested in my ideas about modernizing banking systems. We typically require a college degree, he said as we finished the tour, but your test scores are exceptional. We could offer you a modified program. Work during the day, online classes at night. After 2 years, if your performance meets our standards, we'd sponsor your business degree. It wasn't Harvard. It wasn't even close to what I dreamed of. But it was an opportunity, one I had earned on my own merit. When can I start? That evening, I packed my belongings into my used Honda Civic, a car I bought with savings from tutoring. My parents were at a wedding venue tour with Olivia. I left a note on the kitchen counter. Found a solution. Don't worry about my education anymore. I'll figure it out on my own, just like you said. Asterisk Alexandra. As I drove away from my childhood home, tears blurred my vision. But through those tears, I caught a glimpse of something I hadn't expected. Hope. My parents might have traded my future for Olivia's perfect wedding. But they had unknowingly set me on a path that would change everything. I didn't know it then, but in 10 years, they would desperately wish they'd chosen differently. Because sometimes, when you force someone to figure it out on their own, they figure out how to become more powerful than you ever imagined. 10 years can change everything. I sat in my corner office on the 47th floor of Sterling Tower, watching the morning sun glint off nearby skyscrapers. The nameplate on my desk read Alexandra Miller, Chief Executive Officer, Sterling National Bank. At 28, I was the youngest CEO in the bank's history. My assistant's voice came through the intercom. Ms. Miller, your father's company, Miller Industries, has submitted an emergency loan application. Their representatives are here for the meeting. I smiled, straightening my Armani suit. Send them in. The door opened and 3 men entered. My father wasn't among them. He was too proud to come begging for money himself. Instead, he'd sent his CFO, Thomas, and 2 board members. Gentlemen, I gestured to the chairs across from my desk. Please sit. They didn't recognize me. Why would they? The last time they'd seen me, I was a teenager serving coffee at board meetings during my failed attempt to prove myself worthy of the family business. Ms. Miller, Thomas began, his voice strained. We appreciate you meeting with us on such short notice. Our situation is urgent. I opened the loan application on my tablet. Yes, I see that. Miller Industries is facing a liquidity crisis. Your major contracts are delayed, suppliers are demanding payment, and your credit lines with other banks are maxed out. You need a $100 million bailout within 72 hours, or you'll face bankruptcy. Thomas shifted uncomfortably. That's correct. But our projections show. That's not why you're here, I interrupted smoothly. You're here because every other bank has turned you down. Sterling National is your last hope. The men exchanged nervous glances. I continued reviewing the file, making them wait. Tell me, I finally said, is Olivia's castle still being maintained in France? The one from her $1 million wedding? Their confusion was visible. I don't understand how that's relevant, Thomas stammered. Oh, it's very relevant. You see, I like to understand how companies spend their money before I lend them more. I pulled up another document. For instance, in the past 5 years, while your company was losing market share, the Miller family spent $23 million on personal expenses, including upkeep on a French castle that's used maybe 2 weeks a year. Recognition finally dawned in Thomas's eyes. Alexandra, Robert Miller's daughter. I smiled. The one who was too inexperienced for the family business? Yes. Life is full of irony, isn't it? The color drained from their faces. They knew in that moment exactly what this meant. My phone buzzed. A text from Maya, now my chief operating officer. Your parents just arrived in the lobby. Security asking if they should send them up. Excuse me, gentlemen, I said, standing. It seems we'll have some additional participants in this discussion. Minutes later, my parents burst into the office. They'd aged in 10 years, my father's hair now completely gray, my mother's carefully maintained appearance showing cracks of stress. Alexandra, my mother's voice shook. You own Sterling National? Not just own it, I corrected. I built it. Remember when you said I was smart and would figure things out? Well, I did. My father stepped forward, his business mask slipping. Princess, whatever happened in the past? Don't, I cut him off. Don't try to princess me now. Not after you traded my education for Olivia's wedding. Not after you said I wasn't good enough for the family business. We did what we thought was best, my mother pleaded. Olivia's wedding was important for our social standing. And now your social standing is about to collapse, I noted. Unless I bail you out. The room fell silent. 10 years of hurt, dismissal, and underestimation hung in the air between us. The loan application is denied, I said quietly. You can't do this, my father exploded. We're your family. I stood up, my voice deadly calm. Family? Let me tell you about family. Mr. Sterling became my family. He mentored me, believed in me, supported my education. When he died last year, he left me controlling interest in this bank because he trusted my judgment. I walked to the window, looking out at the city. Maya, my best friend from high school? She's my COO now. We put ourselves through business school together, working days, studying nights. That's family. But the company, Thomas interjected. Hundreds of people will lose their jobs. No, they won't, I turned back to face them. Because Sterling National isn't denying the loan. We're buying Miller Industries. My father's face went pale. What? Our offer is fair, 40 cents on the dollar, given your situation. We'll protect the employees, maintain operations, but the Miller family will no longer be in control. I slid a document across the desk. You have 1 hour to decide. That's how long before the market opens and your stock crashes on news of the loan denial. My mother started crying. How can you do this to us? The same way you did it to me, by telling myself it's just business. I pressed the intercom. Maya, please come in with the paperwork. Maya entered, carrying a folder. She'd been there that night 10 years ago, and let me sleep on her couch when I first left home. Now she stood beside me, a symbol of the real family I'd built. 1 hour, I repeated. They signed the papers with trembling hands. Miller Industries, the company my grandfather had built, the company that had been too good for me, was now mine. As they left my office, defeated and broken, my father turned back. I hope you're satisfied. I hope destroying your family was worth it. I didn't destroy our family, I replied. You did that 10 years ago. I just built something better from the ashes. Later that evening, I drove to the old house, my childhood home. It was dark, empty. A for sale sign stood in the yard. Olivia's perfect wedding had lasted 3 years before ending in a messy divorce. The French castle stood empty, a monument to misplaced priorities. My phone buzzed with a news alert: Sterling National acquires Miller Industries in surprise takeover. Below was a message from Mr. Sterling's widow. Henry would be so proud of you, dear. You were the daughter he always wanted. I smiled, starting my car. Tomorrow, I would begin rebuilding Miller Industries into something stronger, something built on merit rather than family connections. The employees would keep their jobs, the contracts would be saved, but the Miller family's reign was over. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying what others built. It's building something so much greater that they're forced to watch from the sidelines, remembering the moment they chose the wrong child to believe in. My Harvard acceptance letter still hangs on my office wall, next to my executive MBA from Stanford, earned at night while working my way up through Sterling National. It reminds me that sometimes, when one door closes, you don't just find another door. You build your own building. The next morning, a final text came from my mother. We're sorry. We were wrong about you. My response was simple. I know, but I'm not sorry, because you taught me the most valuable lesson. That sometimes having to figure it out on your own is the greatest gift anyone can give you, even if that wasn't what you intended. And that's how the daughter they wouldn't send to college ended up owning not just a bank, but their entire legacy. Sometimes, karma doesn't just strike, it transforms everything in its path.